GerritMeets. So yeah, just a few new people, so I'm going to go over this. But an event, a series of events on Gerrit. We try and do it roughly monthly. This time was 3 weeks. Next time it's going to be Munich in 4 weeks. Then we'll take a break, July, August, and then start again in September. There's probably going to be the user summit in October, and then maybe another GerritMeets in November. We'll see about that. But yeah, just a place for the Gerrit community to get together face to face and all. GerritForge Inc. So US corporation, fully incorporated in Sunnyvale in 2019. I was telling you guys that we've been in business since 2009. We were just incorporated in the UK before then. Deeply committed to open source. Everything we do is open source. Gerrit Code Review is the core of our business, and we've been involved with the project since 2009. So let's go into what I'll be presenting, which is upgrading to Gerrit 3.10 and keeping zero downtime, which I think is a bit the most interesting part here. A lot of other platforms can upgrade to different major versions, but it's keeping the zero downtime that's kind of hard. So there's a few things to keep in mind during the Gerrit upgrade. This applies to everything. So schema, index, and cache changes. So if you're changing Gerrit version, the chances are the NodeDB structure has changed, either the structure or the semantics of it. Now, if the structure has changed, the best way to realize this is the release manager should have written something in the release notes to let you know that this has changed and it's something that you should look out for. But always keep an eye out. You never know. Also, if indexes have been updated, and in particularly the Lucene library itself has been updated, which has happened in 3.10, which means that we can upgrade from versions before 3.9. I'll talk more about that in a minute. These 2 points is important to remind that they will impact your ability to roll back. So because the index, the library, the Lucene library has changed, and the NodeDB structure and semantic has changed as well, you're going to have to, if those have changed, rolling back is probably going to have to happen through a backup. You're not going to be able to just roll back. So just something to keep in mind during your testing. And also about the NodeDB structure, new versions typically support semantics from the previous versions, but not vice versa. So another thing to keep in mind. Caches, when the new Gerrit version starts up, Gerrit will automatically create the new caches files that it needs. However, it might mean that your user experience might be a bit degraded for a period of time. It might be a bit slower. You never know. And also, as you're changing version, you might as well make sure it's all in tune and just how it's supposed to be. So there's a few different upgrade strategies. So this is, we tried to make a table of migrating to 3.10. So I've only started from version 3.6 because version 3.6, prior to 3.6, the way that the labels are loaded, it has changed. So before 3.5, actually, Gerrit would recompute the labels that need to be applied on each patch set just when it was loading the change on the UI. So it would recompute the latest state of the labels on each patch set every time. While from 3.5 onwards, the state of the label is actually just written on the meta ref when a new patch set is created. So it doesn't need to do that computation, it just loads it. However, if you're upgrading to 3.6, you need to make sure that you've actually run the copy approval script, which will write the latest state of your labels onto the meta ref so that it's now up to date and newer versions of Gerrit can load the labels correctly. So yes, you need to stop in 3.6. There's no if or buts about that. And then for versions 3.6 onwards, so 3.6, 3.7, and 3.8, you cannot do an online upgrade because the Lucene index version has changed. You can do an offline upgrade, but don't really want to be doing that. Offline upgrades offline reindexes are just like not that performant. They're not as good, and specifically if they have if you rely on prolog rules, custom prolog rules, or custom submit requirements, then offline reindex is not going to be able to understand that, because if the Gerrit node is down, it's not going to be able to have access to those extension points. So it's just not going to be able to do a good job of indexing. You do need to do an online reindex usually. From 3.9 onwards, yes, you can do an online reindex. However, what happens if you end up being a bit behind? We release newer versions of Gerrit every 6 months. It can be a bit of a big effort for big companies keeping up with the pace of release of Gerrit. So if you want to skip a few versions, we'll show how you can do that with the import project functionality. It's a bit more involved, but it allows you to save considerable amount of time if you're skipping 3 or 4 versions. Cool. So yeah, the main release strategy, I think the only one that really makes sense to talk about is Canary deployments. So there's a few requirements. Requirement 1, you need to have a multi-node cluster. Obviously, if you only have one cluster or one node, you're going to have to take it offline for a bit of time. But if you do have a multi-node cluster in either HA or a multi-site, and you're upgrading one version at a time, then you can do Canary deployments. What this means is that you're going to be taking down one node, but the whole cluster at a time, and upgrading that node. There is no time limit on how long the versions can be misaligned, as long as they're misaligned by one version. But we do that in Gerrit Hub. We have node 1, currently one of the nodes has been on 3.10 for like a month, and the other ones are still in 3.9 while we test the release. Yeah, obviously you ensure that eventual problems are caught before deploying to the whole cluster. So you upgrade one node, you start putting some load on it, and if you see some problems, then you can always take that node back offline and go back, recheck your testing strategy and all that. And then you ensure the nodes you need to ensure that nodes are back in sync after the upgrade. Obviously, you're going to be taking one node offline when it might be down for a few hours, I don't know. And when it comes back online, it will need to catch up with the events that have happened in that period of time. So you need to make sure it's back in sync before you put it back into the cluster. So can one jump versions? We saw earlier the answer is yes. Obviously, it depends. But if you're upgrading your current cluster to 3.10, then the answer is no. So if you need to upgrade the exact same machines that you currently have to 3.10, you're not going to be able to jump any versions. It requires that you are on 3.9 because we upgraded the scene index library, as I mentioned earlier. You're going to have to re-index, although that applies to skipping versions too. And indexes should be backed up before upgrading in case a rollback is required. What we've noticed in our own testing is that when rolling back to 3.10, as we had to do that, it actually messes up the indexes that were already existing in 3.10. So you need to have a backup. That could be as easy as copying the files over from a different node if you have the option. But if you don't, then you need to have a backup. So just something to keep in mind. I think, Luca, are you good to do the demo?
Okay, just one word to present myself. So my name is Luca Milanesio. I'm the release manager of Gerrit Code Review. And I've been in the Gerrit Code Review project for quite a while, I would say, at least 13 years so far. So I'm going to show you now how to upgrade from Gerrit 3.9 to Gerrit 3.10 without any downtime at all. So what you can see on the top is a Gerrit 3.9 instance that is working. You can see here the HTTP log. And on the lower side, still Gerrit 3.9 instance that is working, and they are behind a load balancer. So those are the URLs. So the first one is localhost 8080. I'm going to show you on the screen here. That is this one. This is, let me increase the fonts here as well. This is Gerrit 3.9. You cannot know this one from the bottom, 3.9.4.7. And here you've got a test change. But also, I exposed the 2 individual nodes. You've got localhost 1 8080. That is the first node. Then I'm going to show on Safari here. There we go. If you look at the URL, this is 1 8080. You see is the same content. And also we've got a second node that is on 1 8081. And I have it on Firefox. So I'm politically correct with all the browsers, Chrome, Safari, Firefox, right? So all of them now, they're running the same version of Gerrit. And let me try to simulate a little bit of traffic. So if I go to the upgrade demo, I do run client, and I say, I want to generate a bit of new changes coming, right? So when I do this, I'm just simulating a client that keeps on creating changes. And because these two nodes are on a cluster in multi-site, so even if they don't share the file system, whatever I see on the load balancer, you see, I see the new changes coming. They're actually reflected on all the individual nodes. So this is Gerrit 1. So you see you've got new changes coming. I just zoomed a little bit too much. And also, if I do on the second, new changes are coming, right? So now, if you want to do a zero downtime upgrade, you basically want to upgrade now the two nodes without interrupting the incoming traffic. So I will start now pushing new changes by saying changes was upgrading review 1. Sorry, Gerrit 1, the first node, okay? So you will see that the new changes are coming, but are coming when I'm doing the upgrade, okay? So what is special pushing changes while I'm doing the upgrade? It's special because if I shut down the first Gerrit 1 node, of course, the traffic will start going to the second node. And let me do that. So if I do Gerrit demo and let's do a shutdown instance 1. So the way that I'm shutting down, of course, needs to be graceful. So first I'm flagging the instance 1 as an healthy, right? So in a way that the load balancer that is here, HProxy will see that the first node shouldn't serve any traffic anymore. And also in these calls, you will see the L check that was 200 now has become 500. Also on the GUI, even if one of the nodes now start being unhealthy, I can see new changes coming. So from a user perspective, you don't really realize that one of the two nodes is down. But if you don't believe it, there we go. That's the first node. The first node is gone. It's not there anymore because I shut it down. Why is the second? Keep on receiving changes. So basically, these changes that are coming through, they are coming only to the second node because the first node is shut down because I want to do the upgrade. So now that the first node you see is not moving anymore, is dead, right? What I'm doing the upgrade. So I'm doing my upgrade script. The upgrade script is very easy. You just copy over basically the jar files, the Word files, and starting an init again, and then it's starting Gerrit code review again. So what is happening now is that the first node comes back online. And what is interesting is that when the first node is coming back online, it's going to catch up on all the traffic that was missing between the first invocation, right? So when it was down, a lot of stuff was coming through, right? All these changes while Gerrit 1 was down. However, because the two nodes are on multi-site, it means when one node comes back, he's listening on a events broker topic and is going to catch up on all the traffic that has been missed. From a user perspective, the good thing is that the user can continue working exactly as it was before. The funny thing is that you see still on the footer that is 3.9. In reality, the GUI that you're loading in the browser is at 3.9, but the backend is at 3.10, right? And the user doesn't even realize. So if you just refresh the page, look at that. In reality, it was really at 3.10. So the advantage is that, of course, that now you move from 3.9 to 3.10 very easily. And a very good question is, what if I realized that 3.10 wasn't working exactly as I wanted and I want just to roll back? Very easy, because actually the second node is still on 3.9. If I want to roll back, the only thing I need to do is shut it down instance 1. So instance 1, the one that's been upgraded to 3.10 now, has gone down. So if you have a look here, let's wait a few seconds. This is gracefully going down. And maybe I can push again and stay wise, downgrading back to 3.9. And there we go. So you see that the 3.10 is gone because I want to roll back to 3.9. And from a user perspective, everything's working. The magic, I refresh and I'm back on 3.9. As you can see, I was upgrading to 3.10, realizing something doesn't work, I want to downgrade to 3.9, done. And I'm still able to use Gerrit as it was before, without any user interruption and absolutely with zero risks from that point of view. And now back to Danny, that is showing you a different way of upgrading.
So that was upgrading from 3.9 to 3.10. But as I was talking earlier, what if we want to upgrade from 3.6 to 3.10 directly? So this is what we call it. This is migrating to a separate node / cluster. So the way this works is that we're not going to show the whole setup today. Luca is going to show how to upgrade the 2 separate nodes. But what we can do is Gerrit has the ability, since Gerrit 3.7, but wasn't really usable, it's now used really bug-free in 3.10, of upgrading, of importing projects from a different server. All right. And Luca will show you this. There's no need to stop at any intermediate versions, and projects can be imported even one by one. And actually, you can go a step further than that, and you can import changes one by one. Wouldn't recommend you do that, but that's the level of granularity you can get to. The way this works, ideally, would be that you've got your cluster, multi-site, purification, and everything in 3.6. You would add a new node, a brand new node in 3.10, and you would connect the 3.10 node with the 3.6 cluster in pull replication, not in multi-site, in pull replication, right? And then once you're happy with the state of the 3.10 node, you can start moving some load onto it from the 3.6 cluster. And then you could take down one of the machines that you currently have on the 3.6 cluster and repurpose it as a new 3.10 machine. At that point, you would connect the new machine with the already created 3.10 machine. Again, purification and multi-site between those 2 machines, and one by one, you could upgrade every single one. So by adding one machine in 3.10, you can then, in different phases, migrate the whole cluster to 3.10. Luca will show you a demo of this.
So now I changed slightly the things. So now we don't have any more 2 nodes on 3.9, but I wanted to show the migration from 3.6 to 3.10 in one go. And again, keeping zero downtime. So first, this type of migration has been made possible just because of an improvement that we made on Gerrit 3.10 that actually allows to host projects coming from completely different servers. That was unheard of. So before, the only thing that you could do in Gerrit was upgrading an existing Gerrit setup with the same server ID. Let me clarify what is a server ID. The server ID is basically a unique identifier that identifies all the data that belongs to a series of cluster or machine that belongs to the same domain. But from Gerrit 3.10, you can mix and match them one by one. So let's have a look first what I got here. So I've got, again, a load balancer, HA proxy, and I have a client. But this time, so what you see on the screen here is whatever is served by the load balancer. That is a 3.6, of course. But now what I've done is to have a new setup of the existing setup of 3.6, that is the one that you see here, that is Gerrit 1, but also a new setup of 3.10. And because I wanted to show that it is a completely new setup, I also created a change on the new setup of 3.10, okay? So in this situation, so you are on 3.6, let's try to simulate a little bit of traffic of, let's generate a bit of traffic on the 3.6. So if I do project import demo, like do our client, I will say, run some changes on the 3.6, okay? Sorry, I made a mistake. Repo. Okay, so as you can see, the changes are showing up here, okay, on 3.6. They are showing up on the first node here because I'm still on 3.6, right? I'll just reduce the font, right? Some changes on 3.6. However, they will not show up on 3.10 yet, right? Because I haven't migrated yet to 3.10. Okay, so thanks to this new import project functionality that before did not exist, now I'm gonna rerun this functionality here. I just wrote a little script, import demo, and it's gonna call the migrate repo. So what this script is doing is basically just pushing the branches from a 3.6 into a 3.10, and also is performing a reindex of the changes on 3.10. So this is possible because I'm going to show you a small configuration here that I put on 3.10. Let me increase the font. So on 3.10, what I did is to specify this additional key, import a server ID. So I'm going to tell 3.10, please be tolerant. And also show me all the stuff that is coming from 3.6. This is the server ID of the 3.6 that I had before, okay? So let's have a look what is going on now on the GUI. So bear in mind that 3.6 was not even shut down, it's still running. But if I go to 3.10, and this was 3.10, you can see that from the footer. If I refresh, look at that. I've got the changes from 3.6 that are showing up on 3.10, which is great. So because in this case, it's not really the same instance, because it's a different instance, what I can see is the changes that are imported with the utility. But I can run the import as many times as you want. Every time that you run it, you're going to import the differences. So you see more changes coming from 3.6. Okay, there is a catch though, because those are two different setups. As you can see, there is something strange here. So if I go to this change was done by administrator, but I see name of user not set. This is because every single account in Gerrit is tagged with the instance ID that it belongs. However, again, there is a catch here, so I can run a different utility that I'm going to show you. That is called add external imported IDs. This utility is basically going to add the identity of the admin user on the 3.6 as external identification on 3.10. So in a way that 3.10 can say, oh, now I know this guy, that was the admin. So let me run it. So I run import demo, add external imported ID. Look at that by magic. You see, it was written name of user not set. I'm refreshing. Oh, that's the administrator. And not just these change, all the changes now have been fixed. But there is even more, because now, because the administrator, this identity now is linked between 3.6 and 3.10. If I look at the dashboard, the administrator, I can see both changes that were created by the administrator on 3.6 and also on 3.10. Last but not least, because these will allow basically different servers to share the same changes. You may have changes with the same number. So you see this change, for instance, as identifier 1, right? But also the same change on 3.10 as number 1. So what is going to happen if I ask Gerrit, can you show me the change with number 1? Is it going to show the one from 3.6 or the one from 3.10? Both. So if you ask, can you show me the change number 1? If there is only one present, it will just show directly the change. But if you go 2, you will see the list of the 2 changes and say, oh, you asked for change number 1. Which one would you like to see? Would you like to see the one from 3.6 or from 3.10? You click on 3.6, you see 3.6. You click on 3.10, you see 3.10. Last but not least, when you're satisfied with the migration, okay, what you need to do is exactly the same thing that we did before. So you just go and basically make the first instance an LT. So you go to project import demo. You say, okay, now I want to shut down Gerrit 3.6 because I completed all my testing on 3.10 and the user said, that's great. I want you to stay on 3.10. So if you go to the load balancer was still showing 3.6, right? But because now the migration is being completed, the user have validated 3.10, they are happy with the results, and they say, please business go and make the 3.10 available for everyone. I'm shutting down the 3.10. And if you go back, now I'm refreshing the load balancer, then you will see that I'm back on 3.10, okay? And we are on 3.10. And questions, what's the difference between online and offline reindexing? So maybe this one is for you, Danny.
Yeah, so basically offline reindexing, you need to take the node offline. So that node cannot be serving any traffic, and then it will be, and it's going to be able to allocate more threads to process the offline reindex. However, it's not going to have access neither to the caches, nor the prologue or submit, or nor the custom prologue rules or submit requirements provided by plugins. So that might just, like, it might not work if you have that. Online reindex, the node can be up, running, serving traffic. It might be a slightly degraded user experience because the indexes are not all up to date, but it's going to be serving traffic, and then in the background, it's going to be an unallocated thread to be doing the reindex. Yeah, that's the main difference. I don't know if Luca, if you want to add anything else, but
no, that was absolutely fine. Yeah, absolutely. That reflects. So the second one is, what is the benefit of upgrading without downtime?
well, of course, you don't have to ask your developers to stop working. And yeah, you can just keep serving traffic, and nobody even realizes that there are problems or that there's an upgrade operation going on the back end. So companies, some of the other Git servers, not to mention any names, have to take a weekend outage, and some of our biggest or enterprise customers are not happy with that. So yeah, we always try. I don't think, since we've been in multi-site on Gerrit Hub, Luca, I don't think we've ever had to call it downtime for an upgrade or anything. So yeah,
Nope.
that's pretty cool.